And most people would listen, but then it would be those people that be like, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a grandma. It's like, okay, mom, dad, grandma, you can't trample children to get on the freaking slide. We're gonna try something new today. My phone is like super low on storage. It's like 6 years old, and it's like super hard for me to continue filming on it, and it completely died when I was recording this earlier. So that's why things may look a little bit different, because I'm filming on my iPad today. And I don't have like an iPod. I don't have an iPad holder. I'm using the I'm using my art easel, because I mainly use my iPad for digital art. I don't really use it for anything else other than, digital art and stuff. So I'm trying to record with my iPad. I'm not using my mic because I would have to like take apart the protective casing on it and then plug the mic in. That is the dog getting into stuff. Ignore her. But I have them in here with me so that they're not constantly barking at the door and stuff. So it's a little bit different, but yeah. So I want to first preface this video for the people that are new here. I am an artist and I do create art content, but for the longest time this channel was just like a place where I would do story times, makeup, and like get it ready with me and like vlogs and stuff. So this is gonna be kind of like a story time video. The intention of this video is to let other brand ambassadors have like a heads up before they get into this. This isn't to try to like shade or cancel anybody. This isn't to try and say that you shouldn't support this company and like buy their products or services just because I had a bad experience. If you genuinely like this place and you have fun, especially like with your friends and family and stuff, then feel free to continue doing those things. However, I'm sharing my experience so that other brand ambassadors can see this, and if they get, like if you are a brand ambassador and you get a mass text, a mass email, a group chat, a Slack notification, or whatever from whatever marketing company that you work with, because there are multiple marketing companies at this event, and they say, hey, Big Bounce is in town. These are the dates and times and the hours. Are you available? Do you want to work this event? And you know that you are the type of person that does not like to be played with, get somebody else to do it. Like find some other gig to do that week, or just stay home. Because I promise you, you're going to be mad, you're going to be upset, and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, I wish somebody had warned me. So my intention in posting this video is so that people who are getting those texts and emails like I did and many other people did, that they know not to do it, get somebody else to do it, enter at your own risk. So yeah, let's start off with what a brand ambassador is, because a lot of people aren't familiar with that. A brand ambassador is someone that is hired by a company or maybe like a third party marketing company who is to be a representative of the brand to promote whatever product for the purpose of like a launch, or a product launch, a service, a website, or whatever it is you have going on. So like if you've ever been to like Costco and the people like that give you samples, those are brand ambassadors, product demonstrators. If you've ever been to a outdoor festival and you see like companies that are like under a tent and they all have the same t-shirt, they all have the same hat, and they're like giving away stickers, t-shirts, sunglasses, pins, magnets, and like all this other stuff with the company's name. Or maybe there's like a giveaway or prize, or they're like, hey, come play this game, you can win a prize, or whatever. Like those are brand ambassadors. If you've ever been to Whole Foods and somebody's like, hey, you want a free sample of something, like that's a brand ambassador. Like there's lots of things that you can do as a brand ambassador that isn't just the people in the stores. Like you can work in a store, you can work in a liquor store, a grocery store, a festival, a convention, or whatever. I will make another video that's more in depth about what a brand ambassador is and how I got into this field and like the pros and cons and all that stuff. But I just want to kind of jump into, the story and like, let's just get to the red flags. Because the red flags started before I even like worked this event. So the first red flag is the company that hired me for this event. And it's because I worked with them in the past and I had a network experience with them. Like, they just don't do a good job at properly communicating everything to everyone. Like, they will send a group message to this group of people, a group message to this group of people, and it won't be the same message. So different people have access to different types of information, whereas everybody needs to be on the same page. Like, I understand, the managers and supervisors having one group chat and the brand ambassadors having another group chat. But there's no reason why a group of brand ambassadors hired for the same event, the same day, the same time, and is expected to have the same type of responsibility. There's no reason why we should be getting different information and we should be in communication with different groups of people. Like, we should all be on the same page. So the first red flag is a company because they just don't do a good job at properly communicating everything that you need to know. The second red flag is they didn't tell us what it is that we would be doing, or they didn't mention that we would be working the actual event. They made it seem like we would just be getting flyers and be passing them out to people and like trying to promote the event that's coming to get people to come, or like we would be in the area of the event and like trying to drive traffic towards the event. They didn't make it clear that we would be working the specific event, so we didn't know until we got there. The third red flag is the address that they gave us versus where we actually were is completely different. So a lot of people got lost. A lot of people just went completely opposite directions, and it took them a while to like figure things out. So there's that. The fourth red flag is that like we were not in communication with the other brand ambassadors. Usually, if you are a brand ambassador and you work on a team of people all from the same company, then that company would say, hey, you guys are all scheduled for the same event the same day. Here's everybody's name and phone number. If you guys have any questions, if you need to get in contact with one another, like, here is everybody, here's your group chat, and like you guys can introduce yourselves to each other and get to know each other prior to the event so that everybody's on the same page and like knows everybody. Nobody did that, so I guess that's like 5 red flags. Another thing is that like when I got there, like I found it because I was like paying attention to my surroundings, and like if I would have followed the directions according to where Google Maps was taking me, according to the address they gave me versus where the place actually was, then I would have been taken like 2 miles out of the way and had like a really roundabout long walk that was completely unnecessary. And it honestly would have pissed me off and made me want to just go home, because that's just like another thing on top of all the other things before I even got there, before I even started working. So there's that. Another thing. So I get to this event and I'm just like trying to figure out what's going on. Once I figured out, what it is and where it was, like, oh, so I am actually working the event. I'm not just like promoting it. Like, I'm actually going to be here. That's a little weird. That's not what was communicated to me. So I don't know. Where are we on? We're on like red flag number 6. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm here. Let's see, what this is all about. Whatever. So I was initially told that the hours would be either from 8 to 3 or 8 to 6:45 if I chose to stay later. I chose the 8 to 6:45 time because I'm just like, oh, I could use the extra money. I know that my body could only really withstand working till 3 with, my current health issues and stuff. But I was like, it's only a few days, it shouldn't be fine. I should be able to take breaks and stuff and get water. Like, it should be, like, okay. And it was not. And I'm going to tell you about it later. So, I get there fully, I was there, like, the whole day. And I get there, and, like, the person that's, like, responsible for, like, getting everybody together was like, okay, so she was at the medic tent. And there was no medics at the medic tent. Like, I thought, well, maybe they'll come later in the day, maybe they're just running late, maybe they're somewhere else around in the festival. There was never any medics in a medic tent. As far as I know, nobody had any medical emergencies, but, like, what is the point of having a medic tent and there's no medics in the medic tents? No medics, no EMTs, no nurses, no doctors, no nothing. It's just a tent that's labeled as medic, and most of the time nobody is even over there. So that was weird. So this girl was telling us we have to check in with her in order to, like, check in properly, which I thought was weird, but I was like, okay, fine, I'll check in with her or whatever. And then we have to check in with our team leads from each company. The first thing we noticed when we got there is that nobody knew that they would be working this event. Everybody thought that they would just be promoting the event. They didn't know that they would be working this event, and everybody's confused. And then another thing, I noticed that, like, there were several marketing agencies that hired brand ambassadors for this event, and we're all confused. Like, well, if the event is happening, then what is there to promote? Like, what exactly are we doing? Like, what brand are we supposed to be representing and, like, promoting if the event is already here and you guys already have a good turnout? Like, what are we doing? Like, literally, what are we doing? So it was just, like, a lot of confusion. And as I'm talking to people more, I'm noticing that, like, there is more than one marketing company that sent brand ambassadors to this event. And I'm just like, okay, that seems like a little overkill, but whatever. That's different. So I wouldn't call it a red flag. It's just like, it just caused a lot of confusion. So the girl that's talking to us and, like, introducing herself and telling us what the event is, there's a lot of red flags in the way that she's speaking to us, and I just thought it was so weird.
Bombastic side eye. Criminal offensive side eye.
Like, why are they acting like that? Also, I noticed that there was, like, an energy difference. There was, like, an energetic difference between the brand ambassadors and the crew. So there is a crew for big bounce. They have their own crew that they travel with and they put in hotels. They're the people that's responsible for, like, setting up the whole event and hauling everything in the trucks and inflating the big bounce houses and, like, getting everything organized and set up. So while she's talking to us, it's just like, I don't know, there was this us versus them energy that just was really unnecessary. Like, the brand ambassador just like, okay, cool, I don't know what this is, like, I'm just here to work, whatever. We'll see what happens. And then, like, the crew people were just like, I don't know, like, they operated like high school bullies. And, like, I was like, okay, the energy is weird. I don't like this. This is about to be some shit. And I don't know. And then some shit happened. So there's that. So the girl that's talking to us and, like, she's introducing herself to us, and she's just like, you get a 30-minute break and, like, 2:15s. You have to wait to go on break until one of us come to relieve you. If there's a problem, then, you have to find a blue shirt. Someone's wearing a blue shirt that's part of the main crew, not like a brand ambassador. And everything, and just, yeah. And she's like, you're gonna be split up into, like, different teams. You're gonna be gone to different bounce houses and stuff. And I'm just, like, really confused. Like, what are we doing here? Like, this doesn't seem like the job of a brand ambassador. Like, I'm not here to promote anything. There's nothing for me to market or, like, sell to people. Like, what am I doing here? How is this a brand ambassador job? Like, I'm just so freaking confused. So we split off into our teams. I get assigned to the bounce castle. The bounce castle, so when I'm assigned to the bounce castle, I'm specifically assigned to be on the outside of one of the entrances. And my job is to make sure that everybody has a bracelet. And they specifically need to have... Alright, so I had to switch because my other light died and I had to like change my position and everything. So I got assigned to the bounce castle to be outside, and I had to like make sure that everybody had their bracelets, and I had to specifically make sure that everybody had the right color bracelet, and I had to make sure that like people weren't trampling each other, nobody was hanging out by the entrance, and like in between all the sessions, I had to like walk around and make sure that nobody snuck in and like everything like that. So yeah, I don't have like it felt like I was assigned to be a bouncer of a bounce house, and I literally felt so ridiculous doing this job because like what do you mean I have to stand here and tell people that they can't get in a bounce house because they don't have a bracelet, and specifically they need the right color bracelet and everything. So one, I don't have any experience being a security guard. I don't have any training to be a security guard. I don't know what to do in a lot of like security related incidences. So I was just really unprepared for that. Because it's like, how did I sign up to work a job as a brand ambassador and it end up being like a bouncer of a giant bounce house? Like, that just doesn't make any sense to me. So, I don't know. What are we on? Like, a red flag number 7 at this point? 8? If you account, the weird energy, the weird vibes, whatever. So, they told us at the beginning, if we have any issues, get a blue shirt. If we need to go on break, get a blue shirt. If we need to go to the bathroom, get the attention of a blue shirt. If we were supposed to go on break, but nobody gave us a break or whatever, get a blue shirt. Every time... Also, if there was a missing kid, a lost kid, a parent trying to find a kid or whatever, get a blue shirt. If somebody puked, if somebody fainted, get a blue shirt. They told us if we had any issues to get the attention of a blue shirt. And that didn't work out that way. So let's talk about this whole bracelet situation. So I had to make sure that everybody had a bracelet before getting in because the bracelets were like their tickets.
Or yeah, back it up.
Oh,
You have a wristband?
no.
Why you can't get in? You need a wristband.
For the free?
No, I'm not gonna mess with you for the free. I
Please.
don't even know you.
Please.
No.
Please.
You need to leave. I'm gonna call the security.
Why?
You're wearing Crocs. Why are you trying to get in here?
Bro, come on, bro.
Leave.
The bracelets changed color every 45 minutes. Like every 45 minutes was like a slot that people had to play in the bounce house. And then after that 45 minutes, they shut down for cleaning. And they didn't really clean. They just sent the guy in there to like... He had like a vacuum and he just like sucked up all the confetti and like put it into this giant thing, and then when people would come for the next session, they would just push the confetti out again. So they didn't really clean. There was no hand wash stations by the porta potties. There was no there was no like disinfectant spray or like anything to like wipe anything down. So if somebody had puked, somebody had spit, somebody had like a runny nose, a booger or food or whatever, like there was no way to like clean anything up. So everything was just like really gross. The first thing I noticed when I arrived there and they were still like inflating the castles and like the bounce houses is that it had rained like 3 days prior to this event, and inside the castles and inside like the bounce houses were like these giant puddles of like still water, and it was like branches and grass and like flies and whatever in there, and nobody cleaned it up. They didn't have anybody to specifically clean things up, and they just let people go in there. And like the time slots were like separated by age. So like the youngest kids that were like babies and toddlers go in first. They had like, I don't know, like a blue bracelet. And then it'll be the next age group that was like 4, 5, and 6. And that would be like a green bracelet. And then they would have like the next age group that would be like 8, 9, 10, 12 or whatever. And that would be like a yellow bracelet. And then they would like kind of go on, they would shut things down for a little bit, kick everybody out, and then the next slot was just like adults only, and it was like different color bracelets for things. So the color bracelets for the hour, like the 45-minute time slots, did not match the sign that was near the entrance. So like the entrance would say, from 9:45 to 10:30 or whatever, that the bracelet would be red. But in actuality, for that time slot, it would be green. And like we didn't have any printouts, we didn't have any pictures, like we didn't have anything, and they just kind of like made things up as they went. So I was just like confused about like what color bracelet would go with what time slot in order to like make sure that people didn't get in if they had the wrong bracelet. So if somebody came in at like 9:45 and they had like a green bracelet, but the 9:45 time slot were green bracelets, then I wasn't allowed to let them in. I had to tell them to go ask their mom to switch their tickets and get them a different color bracelet, or wait their turn to the next time slot and they can have more time. And people sometimes got mad at me for that, and I tried to explain to them like, hey, I don't know anything about this event. I'm not in control of anything. I'm literally just here to like check people's tickets, and that's it. Most children understood this. It's the adults that got angry, that yelled at me, that got in my face, and was just like ready to fight me because I didn't let their kids get into the bounce house because they had a red bracelet when they were supposed to have a blue bracelet. And they would be like, well, I paid this amount to let my kid come in here and play. Why are you trying to tell me that my kids can't come in here and play? And I bought this ticket online and they said this at the door. And it's like, I don't have anything to do with what you have going on online or what the people said to you at the door. I literally don't even know what that website looks like. And all I can tell you is that you need a green bracelet. You have a blue, you need a green. You can go switch it so that you can come in at this time slot, or you can wait your turn. Or maybe they had a yellow bracelet and that time slot has already passed. I'm like, well, you can get a new one. But I already paid and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, okay, that doesn't really have anything to do with me. You still need a blue bracelet for this time period specifically, and I can't let you in. And so on top of like arguing with people about that, I still had to make sure that all the other people that were coming in had their bracelets. And I would try and move away from these people and not be confrontational and not yell and, not, match their anger energy. And every time something like this would happen to me, I would look around to see a blue shirt to see if somebody could help me. And they were literally nowhere in sight. Like all the time. Every time I needed them for something, they were literally nowhere in sight. So while these people are yelling at me and getting in my face, I still have to make sure that all these other people have the right bracelet and tell them the same thing. And then I still have to like look behind me and make sure that like people aren't walking in too fast and that nobody is like crawling on the floor of the bouncy house while people are entering, because I don't want anybody to get trampled, especially children. And then I still had to like make sure that nobody was sitting in the entranceway. Like people weren't allowed to sit on the entranceway because, like people could trip over them and everything. So I had to like make sure, because I just feel like this job should have been like for 3 different people. Like one person to make sure nobody gets trampled, one person to check the bracelets, and one person to literally argue with parents who are mad that you won't let their kid in because they have a red bracelet and they need a blue bracelet and just like whatever. And it was just like chaotic at times when it was really busy and I like had no help. I was just like there by myself to man this giant entrance. This bounce house is literally the world's largest bounce house according to the Guinness World Records or whatever. this is not a one person job to man. Like, if you've never been to this place, if you've never seen any of my vlogs where I've shown you guys where I'm like walking around and like doing little vlogs and stuff, you have no idea how big these places are. This bounce castle was like the size of a literal mansion with like rooms and like different sections and stuff. Like, I've never seen anything like this before. So, yeah, it was just like a lot to manage. And it's like in between the time slots, I had to like walk around and like make sure that nobody snuck in, make sure everybody got out and everything. And people kept sneaking in. You would think that it would be like the kids that are like not wanting to play along with the rules because they just want to play. No, it was the adults. And the older they were, the worse they were. Like, if you say to someone's mom, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that, they want to be, well, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a granddad, I'm an auntie. Like, okay, mom, you can't do that. Okay, dad, you can't do that. Okay, grandma, you can't do that. Well, I'm grown and I'm old enough to. I don't care. Like, you still can't do the thing that I just told you that you specifically cannot do. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, and then like at some point, like the main guy that was like in charge of like the bounce house, like the crew person, like he was in charge of like telling the brand ambassadors what to do and whatever. Like, he had told me, hey, I'm gonna give you a break. I'm passing out like 15-minute breaks, or whatever. But I need to like make sure everybody else is good and I need to like rotate people properly. So I hadn't seen him for a while and I needed to go to the bathroom, and they told us not to leave our area unless we have backup or unless we communicate with people. So I saw a group of blue shirts standing around talking about who knows what. And I walk up to them, and already their energy is just like so annoyed with me. And I say, hey, so and so was supposed to give me a break, and I didn't have a break today. Can someone come over and cover for me? Or like, can you call like the person I'm supposed to be checking in with and tell them to send someone? I need to go on break because I like need to go to the bathroom. This girl was like so like grossed out that I was talking to her. She was just like, she just kind of, first of all, she had her back to me. She didn't like turn to me when I got her attention. She was just like, just kind of looking over her shoulder at me, but not necessarily actually turning her body towards me. And everybody else was doing that too. Like, they just, just literally side-eyed me. Like, what the fuck? I don't know these people. I have no reason. Like, I don't know these people, and there's like no reason for them to have that energy towards me. So just like, what the fuck? And then she's like, yeah, sure, I'll get on that. I'll let them know right away. Yeah, I'll get them on the radio. I was like, okay, that was weird. And then she just stood there and was just like, yeah. And then did nothing and just went back to her conversation and like rolled her eyes with me. And I go back to standing, back to my spot, and I was just like, well, what the fuck was even that? So I'm trying to be like patient and wait for this guy to come give me a break. And luckily he finally like came over and told me I can take my break. Because I was about to leave because what the fuck is wrong with you? I have to pee. And if I gotta go real bad, I'm not waiting for anybody to come and relieve me. So, yeah, no. And then at one point, so at like the middle of the day, before they shut down and kick out all the kids and like have the adults come in, there is like an hour that the whole park is like shut down. We're not doing anything. We're not interacting with anybody. And I sat down at the entrance of the bounce house that I was supposed to be like a bouncer at or whatever. And the team lead came up to me and she was like so angry. She was so upset. She had the biggest attitude at me. She's like, no, no, no. You're not on break. You can't sit down. You can't sit down in front of the entrance. If you're caught sitting down and the owner sees you, then he's going to send you home for being lazy and you're not going to get paid for today. No sitting down outside an entrance. And I was just literally so confused. And I was ready to go home because like I needed to sit down to preserve my energy and everything. And then what really annoyed me was just like, well, if your feet hurt, then you can always just take your shoes off, and stand on the blue part of the mat. The blue part of the mat that everybody else was standing on, and like had rainwater from like 3 days ago. What the fuck? I'm not putting my bare foot on that shit. What the hell's wrong with you? Crazy ass lady? I ain't doing that. And I was just like so disgusted and so annoyed. I was ready to go home at that point because like, okay, it's been enough red flags and people have annoyed me enough. So 6:45 comes around and people are getting kicked out and everything, whatever. And I go over to like the medic tent or whatever where the girl is supposed to like check people out at. She is not there to check people out. She's still doing other stuff in the park. So everybody has to wait and like form a line and wait for her when she should have been there in the first place. So she has people waiting, and then I had to stand in line and give her my vest and name and everything to like sign out. The next day comes around and I text like the marketing company that I was working with, and I told them I will no longer be available till 6:45. I can only do 3. This girl tries to argue with me about it, and I'm just being very firm. Like, no, I will only be here till 3 the rest of the events. I will not be here the full day till 6:45 because these people are playing with me, and they're lucky I didn't go home hours ago. And she says, okay, fine. So the next day comes around, I show up to the event, and the girl is doing like the announcements and whatever. And she's like, oh, does anybody have any questions or concerns? And I raise my hand. I'm like, I am leaving today at 3, and if nobody comes to relieve me, I am still leaving. And she's like, okay, that last little part wasn't a little unnecessary, but okay. I was like, no, it was very necessary because you guys like to play. And she just ignored me and kept talking to like other people or whatever. I was like, I don't give a shit about your pissing contest. And luckily for me, I had a different team lead this morning than I did the day before. And the guy that did the team lead, like the first team lead, he had us like go on his phone and fill everything out and submit the form. But this other guy, he was like, I'm not passing my phone around to you guys. Can you just give me your number? And I will just send you the link and you can just sign yourself in and out, and I don't have to like be here to like do it for you. There was literally no purpose in us having a shift lead because we only saw them in the mornings. We didn't see them in the evenings. So I checked in, but I had to like scour the park to look for the shift lead and wait for him. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm getting home so late. It's been such a long day. I'm so tired. I'm so sore. I'm so annoyed. These people really got on my fucking nerves. I don't know how many red flags we're at this point. Like, it's probably like 10. And yeah. So I show up to the event the next day, and all that stuff happens. So the reason why I said that I'm leaving regardless of if somebody comes to relieve me or not, I'm not waiting for anybody, is because of my experience the previous day of when I tried to go on break and they didn't give me a break, and they like were so rude to me because I was like, hey, can someone cover me because I need a break? Like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know. So yeah, so I show up the next day and I'm working, and they're like complaining about being short staffed. They're like, not as many people came today as came yesterday. We don't have enough people. We're short staffed, and a bunch of people call off for next week and blah blah blah. And I'm just like, womp womp womp. I don't care about you guys being short staffed because what the fuck even is this? This shit is weird. So the next day, I am working and whatever, and I thought that I heard like in the announcements that we get like a discount, that we get like free food or whatever, but we only got free water. Okay, so the first thing I forgot to mention with the previous day is that like, because most of us didn't understand what we would be doing or where we would be, a lot of people brought lunches, and because it was an outdoor event, of course, there's like no microwaves or anything. So they told us we could have free water, and like certain things would be free, but no, I guess it was a miscommunication and there was no free food available for us. It was only free for the crew. like the blue shirt people who travel with the main event. They get all the free food and snacks and stuff they want. But us, we just got water and that's it. Okay, so we were expected to be there from 8 a.m. to 6:45 p.m. And I already told you how like the whole check-in, check-out process actually takes a lot longer than that. So the expectation is actually higher. Outdoor festival. We could not leave. Like we could, but we wouldn't really have time. There was nothing out in the middle of Skokie for us to just go have a quick bite and get. Like, maybe you could like DoorDash or something, but like most people weren't doing that. So a lot of people brought lunches and like money to like get fast food and stuff, but like didn't understand the full layout of the situation until we got there. So knowing that we don't have a microwave, we can't really leave and we don't have time to really be going anywhere, and if we did, and like even if you were to order food, it would just be like such a pain in the ass for the people delivering the food to get to you and you to get to them. Like it takes so much time to like walk the festival there and back again, and it's like your break starts as soon as somebody comes to relieve you, not when you go and sit down and get your food and stuff. So that would have been a pain in the ass. Some vendors, if they felt like it, would give us like a 10% discount, a 40% discount, you know, if you were lucky. But that wasn't the case for the most part. And even then, the stuff was like so expensive. And like, I didn't eat any of the food because it was overpriced. I literally just went to Trader Joe's and got some kimbap, heated it up in the morning, and took it with me and had that with like some grapes and bananas and like snacks and stuff. So I didn't have to worry about food. At one time, I forgot what day it was, but I got like a matcha iced coffee boba tea thing with like oat milk or whatever, and it was like so sweet, and like the boba was like mushy, like, and I'm like, why is the boba mushy? Like that doesn't make any sense. But I didn't get anything else there because like if there's no hand wash stations, if there's no disinfectant, and you guys are in these things all day and I never see you guys leave, then like if 1 + 1 equals 2, I was like, yeah, I don't want food poisoning. And like literally everybody, like all the brand ambassadors that ate the food from the vendors would be like, oh my gosh, I had to run to the bathroom. Oh my gosh, I had to upchuck. Oh my gosh, I had to go to the porta potty and make myself upchuck because that stuff was making me so sick and it was so expensive and just absolutely not. People complain about the food being cold, being like burnt or like unseasoned or, you know, whatever. Like, it just wasn't good food to eat. And I know that if I would have spent my money on that shit and it would have made me sick, then I would have been so pissed off. I would have literally cursed people out because I was already just overstimulated. So, yeah, there's that. So, if you have sensory issues, this is not the place for you because when you enter the place, there is music playing, and there's like bubbles blowing everywhere. But like each bounce house has their own DJ playing music, and the castle that I was stationed in would have like a speaker on the outside playing one type of music, and then there's a speaker on the inside playing a different type of music, and then like a few bounce houses down would be like the main DJ for like the event playing another type of music. And I can still hear like remnants of music playing from like the nearby bounce houses. And they hired like 10 different DJs for this event only to play these same 5 songs over and over and over again all freaking day. But it will be like this DJ will be playing Miley Cyrus, this DJ will be playing Justin Bieber, this DJ will be playing like Madonna, and like I would hear remnants of like Rihanna over here and like remnants of like the Hokey Pokey or whatever over there. So it was just like a sensory overload for me, and I just was not prepared, and I did not have any training, and you know, I just didn't know what I was doing. I just felt like it was like one of the most ridiculous jobs that I had ever worked. So, because the guy had already given me the code to like sign out or whatever, and I didn't have to like wait for anybody, because that girl really tried it. She really tried to like make me wait for her to sign me out in order to go home, and I wasn't about to do it. As soon as 3 o'clock came, I took my vest off and I walked over to the medic booth and I set it down on the crate and I was like, hey, I'm Ella, I'm going home. And she's like, I don't even know who this is. Like, she wouldn't even look at me. It's like, I don't know who this is. And then you gotta wait in line just like the rest of these people. It didn't compute to me that those other people were in line, because it's like, it's the medic tent. I couldn't tell if they were like brand ambassadors or if they were like customers or like somewhere in between or what. I was like, yeah, whatever. The guy already gave me a code to sign out. So I went on my phone and I signed out and I went to my bus stop and like went home. Because I wasn't about to wait on this fucking girl. First of all, she wasn't even at the place to like check people out at 3 o'clock like she was supposed to. She like waited like 15 minutes to get over there. And luckily I was like checking out. Like I had to use the bathroom. I had to go and like get my stuff from the back and like go around and like everything. And then I came over there. But yeah, she wanted me to wait an additional 10-15 minutes or whatever on her to address me and get the rest of the people in line, on top of her like waiting until after 3 o'clock to like walk over there and like start checking people out at the time that we're clocked out of. So yeah, like absolutely not. Also, I check like, I went onto Google Maps and see like when was the next bus gonna be coming, and my bus was gonna come in like 5 minutes, and then the next bus wouldn't come until like 25 minutes afterwards. And I'm like, I'm not waiting an additional 25 minutes because this girl wants to have like a power trip or whatever the fuck. Because I know that if I have to wait an additional 20 minutes for the bus to come, and the bus takes about 20 minutes just for me to get to the train station, and once I get to the train station, because it's like a multi train station over like at Howard, you know, it's the yellow line, it's the purple line, it's the red line, that I'm gonna have to like have a longer wait because it's like a rush time hour, and I just wasn't about to do that and play this game with this girl. So I went on my phone and used the link that the guy had sent me earlier and I signed out. I gave her the vest and I went home. I don't care if you don't want to look at me. I don't care if you're doing some sort of power trip or whatever. So the next week comes around and I was supposed to work Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So Friday I was supposed to work from like 8 to 12 and then stay there and do whatever and then work 5 to 9. And I was sick that day, so I ended up staying home. And then I came into work the next day and everybody was like, first of all, there people were complaining that they were short staffed again, that nobody wanted to come. And then the brand ambassadors were like, yeah, I came yesterday and they literally waited until I got here and they sent me home because they said they had too many people and they didn't really need me. And then they were calling everybody to come back from like for like the 5 to 9 hour. And people were like, no, I'm not going back because I drove all the way from wherever, 30, 45 minutes an hour or what, to come to this freaking place that I had already scheduled to work at. And you guys waited until I got there to send me home and say you had too many people. So whoever you have there is whoever you have, whatever, I don't care. They tried to guilt trip people and be like, oh my gosh, it's short staff, you really need people, blah, blah, blah. Nobody gave a shit because fuck you, because of the way you treat people and everything. And when I talked to other brand ambassadors about my experience with like the crew, they were like, yeah, those people are weird as fuck. What the hell is wrong with them? They act like they're a part of some type of cult or whatever. Like, they act like they have like carnies. I'm not sure if that's the right term to call people who like work in carnivals and stuff. I'm sorry if that's offensive, but like that's what people were saying. Like, what the fuck? They act like they're a part of some type of weird cult or whatever. Like, they're so weird. I don't like them. And that's why people were leaving, because of the way that we were treated and the way that people were acting towards us. And the fact that like we're brand ambassadors and you guys got us doing labor and like security work, and it's like, we're not fucking trained for that shit. And then like brand ambassadors are usually like, we are used to working either by ourselves independently or in a small team So like the micromanaging and like the attitudes and the power trips, that doesn't really work for us because a lot of us chose this field so that we can work independently and we can be independent contractors and like we can be our own boss and we can be selective about the clients that we take on. So to have that sort of attitude towards people who are like used to being independent and stuff is just fucking weird. They acted like they were doing us a favor by allowing us to help them with the event. And it's like, no, be so fucking for real because we're the ones doing you a favor. We're doing the jobs that you guys don't want to do because you don't want to pay extra crew the rate that you guys are being paid in comparison to us, or you're outsourcing this labor to other people and then you think you're better than us because you're part of the main travel crew versus the brand ambassadors that are just there for like a couple of days while they are in town. And it's like, first of all, you should not have even hired brand ambassadors for this event. You should have labeled this job as setup and labor because that's what you had people doing. And that's not, what we're built for. That's not what we're trained for. I think going forward in the future, you guys need to hire people that need this job because most brand ambassadors don't. Like, this is a weekend thing. Most people work regular, traditional 9 to 5s, and then they pick up brand ambassador shifts on the weekends. People have kids, people have spouses, people have families and stuff. And like, it was the end of the summer, like, people have better things to do than to deal with you guys and your terrible attitudes and the way that you treat people and all that stuff. So, like, I don't know. Maybe you guys would have a better luck with labeling the job as setup and delivery and labor rather than hiring Brandon. Okay, so I'm editing this video and I just realized that I took a screenshot from Trusted Herd that is labeled as setup and labor help, and I'm gonna like place it like right here for you guys to see. But like, you see how this job is labeled as setup slash labor help? Like, very cutesy, very mindful, very demure, very professional, like very direct, very, exactly who this is for when you apply to this job, and you don't try to catfish people and manipulate people into doing a job that they don't want to freaking do and they're not properly trained for. Like, be more like this company that properly labels their shit and doesn't try to like trick people who work in marketing to be bouncers for a fucking bounce house. Like, literally, how do I even describe this job to people? Like, I don't understand. What is not clicking, Steven? Bastards, and that's how you fucked up, essentially. So, yeah. On Saturday, I show up, I make it abundantly clear to everybody that I will be leaving at 3. Again, people like, yeah, sure are, we leave at 3. The girl that's like in charge of doing the announcements and introducing herself and whatever, she makes an announcement and she's basically like, please don't ask us for free food. You already get free water. You should just be grateful that Big Bounce is like offering you the job or whatever. And I was just like, ew, what the fuck type of bootlicking ass bullshit is that? Whatever. That doesn't make any sense. I don't worship Big Bounce. Like, I'm only working with you guys for like 4 days. And I'll never see you people again for the rest of my fucking life. You act like we should be like bent down and like bow down and like serving you guys or whatever and worshiping you like you're some type of god. And it's like, this isn't that and that isn't this. Like, absolutely not. And then she makes another announcement and she's like, oh, if you get off at 3, I have nothing for you. Don't come to me at 2:55. You better work the rest of your shift until 3 and finish up your work. And, and when 3 comes around, don't come and try and find me you gotta wait until I go over to the medic tent and I'm ready to sign you out. And I was like, absolutely not. As soon as 3 o'clock comes around, I'm gonna go on my phone, use the link that the other guy sent me last weekend, and I'm gonna sign myself out. I'm gonna take my vest off and I'm just gonna put it over in your area. And at the end of the day, how everything works out on your end has nothing to do with me. You can figure out who didn't come in and check with you, because I'm not about to do all that with you. So 3 o'clock comes around. They're like guilt tripping people that are leaving at 3 to try and stay later. They are like, oh, we're so short staffed. It's only a couple more hours. Come on, you can do it, and all this other stuff. And I'm just like, absolutely not. I'm leaving at 3. So another reason why I decided to leave at 3 is because at one point my shoes literally started to like roll off of me in layers. And I kept stepping on the sole of my shoe because it was rolling up underneath my feet. So I had texted my partner and I was like, hey, my shoes are falling apart on my feet. Can you please come and pick me up? So he comes to pick me up and, we go home and, everything like that. The next day comes around. It's only a handful of brand ambassadors. Like, the amount of people I saw on the first day, like, it was like 50 to 60 different brand ambassadors, like, on that first day. On the last day, it was probably like 10 of us. And people didn't want to deal with that. People didn't want to leave it. People didn't want to deal with them. People didn't want to deal with that, whatever. So they're trying to like guilt trip people into staying later. Okay, so side note, I am fully aware at how badly I butchered my eyeliner today. It was a struggle. I have nerve issues and I struggle with gripping things, and I'm just not used to the current eyeliner that I just switched to, and like it's a whole thing. But yeah, I'm also well aware that my edge control is like super white in this video today, and I've actually taken a bobby pin and like pinned this down because it was like sticking out the side throughout the whole video. I am aware, and I'm sorry if that bugs you, and I hope that you're still able to enjoy the rest of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. One girl, like, her company told her that she had to stay till 8 while everybody else got to leave at 6:45, and I just felt bad for her because I was like, absolutely not. And then another girl, so on the last day I wasn't working by the castle. I actually got like switched with somebody else, and instead of working by the castle, I was working by the giant, which is modeled after this giant creature from the cartoon. I forgot to give me that cartoon, but like I know it when I see it because it's this character. So the giant is very different from the bounce house. So the giant is like different sections, and it kind of sneaks around. Like, this is the mouth of the giant, this is where you enter in, and you come out through a shoe. And then each section is like the size of like a city block as far as like how long it is. And it's an obstacle course, so you're constantly ducking, moving, climbing on something, crawling in something, or whatever. Like, it's a whole obstacle course. It is a full workout. There are warning signs on the outside of the giant, like, please expect at least 30 minutes to go through this whole thing. It is like a quarter mile. Like, if you go through the whole thing, no, it wouldn't be a quarter mile, it'd be like a half a mile, because like each section was like a block, so it was 4 sections, so it would be like 4 blocks. And then because like it's an obstacle course, you're like using more energy to like get through it or whatever. So I'm stationed outside and I'm in the back at first, and like my job is to make sure that like if kids run out of the back, that they know that once they leave they cannot come back. They have to come at the beginning of the giant's mouth. They can't sneak in through the back, and I gotta make sure that people weren't sneaking in through the back. So I was stationed with this other guy. He did not really speak a whole lot of English. His main language was French, and I don't speak French. So anytime I had to communicate with him something, I had to like go on my phone, type in what I need to say in English, and like translate it to French in order to like communicate with him a lot. So when people were talking to him and like trying to explain to him what to do, like he didn't really understand. There was another guy that was with him at first that was like translating things for him, but they separated them for some odd reason. I do not know why. But there was like a communication barrier there. So people were trying to sneak in through the back. People were trying to sneak in like behind us. Like there's a way, like people can park and they're supposed to go around to go to the entrance. So one lady, instead of waiting for her kid at the front, she came around the back and she tried to go in. And I'm talking to her and I'm just like, hey, can I help you? You know, whatever, whatever. And she's like, yeah, no, I'm not supposed to be back here, but, you know, I really just want to check on my kid and blah, blah, blah. So I told her she has to go back where she came and never come back this way again because this is not an entrance. That's why it's all blocked off. So she goes back and, you know, whatever. She tries to argue with me, but she ends up going back. Another lady comes, like, on the other side of me at the fence. And, like, she is, like, trying to get my attention. And I didn't fully register that she was talking to me because she was, like, a few ways away. Like, it didn't register that she was talking to me. So once I figured out that she was talking to me and she was trying to get my attention, I go to talk to her. And she's like, hey, is this the entrance? And I say, no, the entrance is over there. And she's like, are you sure? Like, you sure I just can't come in, like, right here? I was like, no, you can't come in here. This is not an entrance. You have to go in around the front. And then, like, the manager that's, like, in charge of this specific area comes up to me and he's like, oh, what did that lady say to you? You know, what's that about? And I was just telling him what happened. And he's like, what do you mean she asked you, are you sure? Like, are you not wearing a yellow vest? Like, do you not work here? Do you not know, like, the ins and outs of the place? Like, what do you mean she's asking you, are you sure? And I'm like, well, that's what she said. Another lady, she was, like, with her kid. And she came to the back, like, through, like, the back entrance area. And she's just like, hey, I'm looking for my kid. He's only 5. You know, he's kind of rambunctious. He has ADHD, he has autism, you know, like, I need to find my kid, can you help me find my kid? And we're trying to explain to her, like, this is just one path. Like, you cannot get lost in a giant because it's all just one path, and if you just follow the path, then, like, you will get out through the exit. If you absolutely need to, like, you can't finish it, it's too much for you, you're having an emergency or whatever, then you can exit the emergency exits, and we will redirect you to the front, and you can wait, and, like, the people that are still in the bounce house can come find you at the front. That's where everybody is. So we're trying to explain to her that. And the guy is just like, yeah, so like when your kid comes out, you know, they can just hang out in front for you to come. And like you can meet your kid there. Unless he just like runs off. And she's like, yeah, he would run off. And he's like, oh, your kid would just run off into a crowd, strange people at an event? Like, wow, that's crazy. And I just thought that conversation was odd. Because I'm like, what do you mean you bring your kid to a place like this and you feel like your kid is just gonna like get out of the bounce house and just run and go to like whatever, and you're not like a person that has one of those kid leashes? That is concerning. I just thought that was weird as fuck. So yeah. At the end of the day, the guy asked me, like, oh, did you want to go through to the bounce house to, like, just check it out before you leave? You know, because it's the last day, and we're going to tear everything down by the end of the day. I know you didn't fully get to explore the whole park. So I'm like, yeah, sure. And he's like, oh, yeah, and while you're doing it, can you, like, make sure that there aren't any kids lost or, like, hiding out or, you know, whatever, because we're going to be closing down for the day and coming back in, like, an hour or so. So I go through the bounce house and do the whole obstacle thing, and I slide down the slide that comes out the chute or whatever. And, you know, it's time for me to go home. And because it's the last day, I'm, like, trying to be nice. I'm trying to be patient. So I go to get myself, and I take the vest off. He's having a conversation with this main manager girl that has been annoying the fuck out of me this whole time. And they're complaining about it being short-staffed and how nobody wants to work anymore. And they started off with so many brand ambassadors, and now they only have a few. A few people had went home throughout the day. Like, a few people had went on break and just never came back. I actually saw one girl as she was leaving. And I was like, hey, you know, how's it going? You know, whatever, whatever. And she's just like, I cannot with the bossiness and the constantly being told what to do and the redirection and the pointing here and the pointing there and go here and go there and like absolutely not. I am Puerto Rican. I know my mouth. I'm just gonna go home. I don't feel like doing none of that. So I was like, yeah, sure, that's totally understandable. Like these people are crazy as hell. Like feel free to do what you need to do. And so she leaves. And then people are looking for her. And then I figured out that I was actually supposed to be replacing her because they moved me from the back to the front. And when I was in the front, I was in like the other like emergency exit and like in front of like the shoe slide or whatever. At one point, I was like in charge of managing the slide, and then that person came back. And then another part, I was like in charge of like the emergency exit and like making sure that nobody goes into the emergency exit because a lot of people try and go into the exit, and I'm just like, this is an exit. You can't enter. You gotta go through the giant's mouth. So, yeah. So, I don't know. Like, this whole event was weird. So, while they're talking and they're complaining about nobody wants to work anymore, we're short staffed, they oversold the tickets, oh my gosh, it's so many people, and everybody's going home, and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, yeah, whatever, you know, like, here's the best. Have a nice day. And then she's like, okay, cool. You know, come follow me and I'll sign you out. And I was like, no need. I already signed out on my phone. Like, it's fine. I'm just going to go home. And she's like, oh, you know, like, you not being able to work the whole day and you leaving at 3. The next time we come around town, I can't recommend you to work with us again. You know, don't sign up for these events if you can't work the whole day, blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, yeah, sure, whatever, that's fine. Anyway, because I just didn't want to continue a conversation with her. I really just wanted to leave. She had already wasted enough of my time by waiting until after 3 to be like, oh, yeah, I can take this bus and sign you out. And she just spent this whole, like, I don't know, she spent like a few minutes talking to the guy about being short staffed and complaining about how it's going to be so hard on them and blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, I don't care about you guys being short staffed. It's literally your own fault. It's the way you talk to people. It's the way you act. It's the way you treat people. It's the way that you guys hire brand ambassadors from marketing companies to come here and do labor, setup, and security jobs. Like, what the actual fuck? Oh, I forgot to mention that one day, I was in charge of the bounce house. I wasn't in charge of the bounce house, but like I was at the bounce house. I wasn't in the like exit entrance way. I was actually inside, which is great because I got to like take breaks and sit down and like play for a little bit and everything. So I was like in charge of like the slides, like managing the slides over in one of the rooms of the bounce castle. And basically I was just there to like make sure that people don't stay at the top and whoever comes up comes down. You know, like they can't hang out at the top because a lot of people, they'll climb up there, they get scared, and then they don't want to get down the slide and they don't want to climb back down the stairs, so they'll just hang out there until they feel comfortable enough to come down. And I kept having to like yell up the slide and tell people, hey guys, you can't hang out up there. If you go up, you gotta come down. Don't hang out up there. You know, you're blocking the path for other people to come, and you know, there's a line forming and everything. I kept having to say that to people. And then I had to like keep telling kids, hey kid, you cannot somersault off of the slide. You can go forwards, backwards, sideways, or whatever, but you have to lay down when you're coming down the slide. You cannot somersault, you cannot flip, you cannot cartwheel, none of that stuff. You have to slide down the slide. Like, you can sit down, lay down, roll down, or whatever, but like, you cannot do these things. And most people be like, oh, okay, and they listen. But other kids, you know, they get offended or whatever, and then their parents would be like, oh, they're just having fun, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, they're going to get hurt, or they're going to hurt other people. And then I kept having to tell people, you cannot sit in front of the slides. There was a lot of parents sitting in front of the slides because they're trying to take pictures and take videos of their kids coming down the slides. But I kept having to tell them, you guys can't be in front of the slides because when the kids come down, they're going to kick you in the face. And you're going to get hurt. And it may not even be your kid that's kicking you in the face. Most people, they listen and they're fine. But other people like, well, I'm just gonna be here for a second, or if I see it, I'm gonna move. Like, you cannot be blocking off the path that people use to come down the slide. You can go on this side or that side. You can stand back here, but you cannot be directly in front of the slides. So, yeah. And I have to make sure that like people weren't getting trampled as they were like getting on the slides, because there was like this stair thing that you climb, and it was 2 lanes. But like people would still just like rush up there, and like I had to make sure that like people weren't getting trampled and stuff. And like you would think that it would be like the kids that you gotta watch and make sure that they don't trample other kids. It was the adults stepping on children to get up this freaking slide in the bounce house and be like, you cannot step on these kids to climb up this freaking castle to like slide down the slide. You have to like slow down. You have to walk. You can't run up as you're like climbing up this ladder thing. And most people would listen, but then it would be those people that be like, I'm a mom, I'm a dad, I'm a grandma. It's like, okay, mom, dad, grandma, you can't trample children to get on the freaking slide. Like, I don't know why people didn't get that. Like, I just felt like it was common sense and it just wasn't common. There were a few times where parents would come up to me and they'd be like, oh, I think my kids came through here. Have you seen my kids? And I'd be like, sir, I don't know you or what your kids look like. Also, we were supposed to like be super strict about like not allowing people to get in the castle if they didn't have like the right bracelet or whatever, and I was when I was at the door. But when I was in the castle, if I saw a kid that didn't have a bracelet or they had the wrong color bracelet, I wasn't about to kick those kids out and tell them to tell their moms go get them a new bracelet. I just let them play. I know that the venue would like lose money for that, but like I didn't care. We were supposed to tell the kids if they needed water, if they were showing signs of like dehydration, if they were turning red, if their lips were like really chapped and like they were breathing hard or whatever. We were supposed to tell them, hey kid, you need to go find your mom and ask her to go buy you some water from like the water stand. And like the waters were like $3. But they told us that we can have unlimited water. And there were literally stacks, like cases of water, like stacked up at various points around the park that we can have access to. So if I was near one of those stacks of water and a kid came up to me and was just like, hey, I need water, I would literally just go over there and get the kid some water. Because fuck you for trying to tell me that I can't give a kid water when it's 85 degrees outside in the hot sun. You're giving them all this sugary and salty food and all this other stuff, and I can't give a kid water even if they're showing signs of like dehydration or like they're having an asthma attack or whatever. Like, give the kid some fucking water. Like, do not play with me. Do not piss me off. Like, what do you mean I can't give the kid water? And I would like ask the crew, like, hey, I would tell the crew, like, hey, this kid is showing signs of dehydration. Can you go get him some water? Or can you like keep my spot and I'll go get the kid some water? And they'd be like, we're not allowed to give the kids water. You have to tell the kid to go tell their mom to go buy them some water from the water stand. And it's like, first of all, the kids are not going to take a break from playing to go find their mom to go get them some water. They're just going to keep playing because they want to play. They're not registering how dangerous dehydration is. And second of all, these parents were nowhere to be found. Like, they would drop their kids off at the bounce house, or they wouldn't even drop them off at. They would just buy them a bracelet and drop them off and leave. They would either leave the park and like come back and come pick up their kids and tell like the oldest to watch them, or they would hang out and lounge in this area where there was like seats and like shade or whatever and let their kids run around and get into whatever. So the parents didn't know where the kids were. The kids didn't know where the parents were. So what annoyed me about the whole missing kids or lost kids or a kid that couldn't find their parents or whatever is that, one, they tell parents, can you please write your name and number on your kid's bracelet so that in case they get lost, one of us can call you? Or teach your kid your phone number, but just write it down. Most parents didn't do that. And it was annoying. And then, like, the parents that did it, they would answer the phone and they would be rude. Be like, oh my gosh, who is this? Why are you calling? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like trying to explain, like, hey, my name is Ella and I'm here at Big Bounce. I have Michael. He's at the Bounce Castle. He's crying. He's looking for his mom. Like, are you his mom? You know, whatever. One kid, I called their dad and, like, he didn't have the number written down. So he told me the number, but he didn't tell me the area code. So the person I called was, like, not his dad. And I'm like, that's so dangerous. So they finally get reunited. And I'm telling the parent, like, hey, if you're going to teach your kid your phone number, then, like, tell them the area code so that I can call you in case this happens again. And he's like, okay, cool. The thing that bothered me about the whole missing kid situation is that a lot of times it was the kids looking for their parents freaking out. But it was almost never, like, the parents looking for the kids. And whenever, like, somebody would go to, like, reunite the kid with their parent, the kid would be screaming, crying, throwing up, having a whole entire fit, thinking that they're lost forever and, like, not fully understanding things. And the parent would just be bouncing around in the bounce house, sitting around eating snacks. Like, they just, or like a lot of times when the kids would get reunited with the parents will be like, oh, there you are. I didn't even know that you were missing. I thought that you were playing over there. I thought that you were here. I thought you were there. Like, these parents had no idea where their kids were for concerningly long periods of time. And you reconnect the kid with the parent, and the parent doesn't even realize that their kid's missing. And I'm just like, how do you take your kid to a place like this and you just start goofing around and playing and you're not, like, watching your kids? So, I don't know. So, what is the takeaway from this video? The takeaway is that if you are a brand ambassador and you work for a marketing company and they send you a group chat and they're like, hey, you want to work Big Bounce, you can take these things into consideration and make a better, like, educated decision about, you know, whether or not you're okay with people talking to you crazy and treating you like scum for not even, like, what is industry standard at this point. Like, it doesn't pay enough money and you're not really told enough about anything, and it's just, like, crazy. Also, the very next day after Big Bounce, so Big Bounce ended on Sunday, Monday morning, I literally lost my voice and I could not talk for 2 weeks and I got COVID. And, like, the newest strain of COVID is literally so bad and so deadly. And even though it's been, like, over a month since I've been diagnosed with COVID, so I'm way out of, like, the 2-week zone because I have health issues. I'm still dealing with the side effects of COVID, and they're not telling me whether or not I have long COVID or if because of my health issues it's just taking longer to get out of my system. So I have no idea how long I'm going to be dealing with cold and flu symptoms, even though I no longer have COVID, from this nasty ass event that I worked for literally just like 4 days. So, I don't know, like, enter at your own risk. If you have sensory issues, maybe don't do this. If you are immunocompromised or you're a germaphobe, do not do this. You will get sick. If you don't do well in environments where people are talking down to you and treating you like crap and not respecting you, do not do this job. If you are the type of person that is quick, I mean quick, to leave a job At the first red flag, at the first sign of disrespect, do not do this. If you have health issues and you cannot stand for like 12 hours a day with only like two 15-minute breaks and a 30-minute break, do not do this job. If you do not want to eat cold food on your lunch breaks, like if the thought of eating cold, uncooked food on your lunch breaks and like you don't like packing your lunches or whatever, do not do this job. If you have a sensitive stomach and like you're prone to like food poison or you have like food allergies or whatever, and you want to like try out the food from this event, do not do this job. I'm telling you right now, this place will piss you off so much. Like literally it will piss you off so bad, and it is not worth the stress. It's not worth it to risk getting COVID or the flu or any other type of germs that they would have circulating around there. It's not worth the frustration, the stress, or whatever. Like, it's a job that's like 5 days, and it's not even like full days. And if they give you the option to leave at 3, then leave at 3. Trust me, you do not want to be there till 6:45, because at 6:45 is actually gonna be more like a 7:30. You do not want to be there till 8, because at 8 it's really gonna be like an 8:30, and they were really trying to waste your time or whatever. If you do end up working this event and like your team lead and your team lead is like passing their phone around for you to like sign in and sign out at the beginning and end of the day, just say, hey, can you just send me the link? Or if you get their phone, just copy the link and text it to yourself so that you don't have to wait for them to sign you in and out. Like, you can just do it yourself if that happens to you. So yeah, again, I will make another video with like pros and cons of being a brand ambassador and like what it is, how I got into it, so you guys can have like more context. But like, if you're a brand ambassador and your company asks you to work big bands, and based on what I mentioned earlier, that's not the place for you, get somebody else to do it. Like literally be like, get somebody else to do it if somebody asks you to work this event, because it's not worth it, you know. Like, this event has kind of made me like agoraphobic slightly, because I'm like, damn, I don't want to go anywhere anymore if I'm gonna risk getting COVID again. Like, this is my second time getting COVID, and I never lost my voice. I literally cannot speak for 2 weeks, and I'm still struggling to talk and say like certain sounds, and I don't sound as clearly as I normally would. And I don't know how long things are gonna be like this for me, or if this is gonna be like a lifelong struggle or what. But yeah, like, get somebody else to do it. I hope you guys are able to take something away from this story, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Thank you.